It was a Friday night in late September, the kind of night where the air feels a little too crisp and the roads in our small town are emptier than usual. I was with my two friends, Dylan and Mark, driving through the back roads just outside the county line. We weren't planning on anything in particular, we were just bored. That's when Dylan brought up the old farmhouse. According to him, the place had been abandoned for over 30 years, ever since a murder-suicide had happened there. Supposedly, a man had killed his wife and kids before turning the gun on himself. Locals claimed the house was haunted, but more than that, people said there were squatters living inside. Dangerous ones who didn't take kindly to strangers. I should have said no right then, but we were 18, stupid, and looking for anything to fill the night. So we parked Dylan's old Honda on the side of a dirt road and followed a thin path through the overgrown fields. Within 5 minutes, the silhouette of the farmhouse came into view. It was massive, 3 stories tall, leaning slightly to the left, with broken windows like hollow eyes staring out into the field. The roof sagged, and the once white paint had peeled into gray strips, but there was still something imposing about it. Mark laughed nervously. This looks like every horror movie cliché rolled into one. We climbed the porch. The boards groaned under our weight. Dylan pushed the door, and to my surprise, it swung open without resistance. A musty, rotting smell drifted out. Inside, it looked like time had frozen. Furniture was still in place, though covered in thick dust and mold. Family portraits still hung on the walls, their glass frames cracked. A newspaper from 1989 was left open on the coffee table, yellowed with age. We moved room to room, flashlights cutting through the darkness. The wallpaper was peeling. Floors creaked with every step, and the silence felt heavier than any place I'd ever been in. At one point, Dylan whispered, "Do you guys hear that?" We stopped. Faintly from upstairs came the sound of movement. Slow, deliberate footsteps pacing back and forth. Mark tried to laugh it off. It's probably raccoons or something. But the sound was too heavy, too rhythmic. It sounded human. We decided to ignore it and headed toward the kitchen. Plates were still stacked in the cabinets, some shattered on the floor. A child's drawing was pinned to the fridge, a stick family holding hands under a crooked sun. Someone had scribbled over the faces with black marker. That's when we found the basement door. It was secured with a rusted chain and padlock, but the wood was so rotten that Dylan managed to pry it open with a few kicks. The door creaked loudly as it swung inward, revealing a staircase that disappeared into pitch-black darkness. The smell hit us immediately. Stale, damp, with a hint of something metallic. Against my better judgment, we went down. The basement was larger than expected, with a low ceiling and stone walls. At first, it seemed empty, until my flashlight landed on the far corner. There was a mattress on the floor. Next to it sat piles of canned food, bottled water, and neatly folded clothes. Someone was living down here. Recently, my chest tightened. "We need to get out. Now," Dylan whispered. "Wait, listen." Above us, the footsteps had started again. This time faster, moving from one side of the house to the other, as if whoever, or whatever it was, knew we were down here. We scrambled back upstairs, hearts racing. But as we reached the main floor, we realized something chilling. The front door we'd left wide open was now shut. Mark's breathing grew frantic. "Someone's here. Someone's been here the whole time." We tried the door. It was jammed from the outside. Panic set in. We rushed toward the living room, looking for another exit. That's when Dylan froze, pointing at the staircase. At the top, barely visible in the dark, was a figure. It was tall, lanky, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. I couldn't make out details, only the outline. It just stood there, watching. We didn't wait. We bolted to the back of the house, where a small window above the sink offered an escape. Dylan smashed it open with a chair, and one by one we squeezed through the jagged frame, cutting our arms in the process. We ran across the field without looking back, hearts pounding so loud I thought they'd explode. We reached the car, we piled in and sped off, tires spitting gravel. Only when we were a mile away did we finally slow down. That's when Mark, who was in the back seat, whispered, "Don't look, but there's someone in the upstairs window." I couldn't help myself. As we rounded the curve, I glanced back, and sure enough, in the top window of the farmhouse, a figure was standing there, perfectly still, watching us leave. We never went back. We never even talked about it much after that night. But sometimes, when I'm driving those back roads, and I catch sight of that field in the distance, I swear I can still see the outline of that house. And I wonder if the person inside is still waiting. Since then, I don't drive down that road at night anymore. And I make sure to never ever look at that field, because some things, once they've chosen to watch you, never stop waiting.